What's going on, guys? This is Paul from Boosted Films, and welcome to this video where I will show installing my Whiteline roll center adjustment / bump steer correction kit. And as many of my loyal subscribers know, I recently did a clutch install on here, so I did this job at the same time, so that's why there's going to be some more pieces removed that you may not have to remove. But as always, I'm just trying to document what I do on my vehicle, and hopefully you guys will find it helpful. And with that, we'll just jump into the how-to video. So the first thing we're going to do is break our lug nuts loose while the car is on the ground, unless you have an impact wrench. And of course, we're going to want to jack up the car and remove our front wheels. And then you always want to be safe when you're working on your car, so we're going to set the car on jack stands. Don't just leave it on the jack. And then also, if you want to, you can put your tires underneath the car for extra safety precautions. And you may notice some lighting changes here. Basically, I did this whole job over multiple days while I was working on installing a new clutch and dropping my transmission. So this was done at night. As you can see, I took my brake caliper off and then took my brake rotor off. Next, we're going to pop out those lower ball joints. And we're going to do that by removing the bolt and nut that hold it in place. And then next, we're going to remove the sway bar links. So you may not have to remove your lower control arms to replace these lower ball joints like I'm going to show here. You could rent or buy a tool to do them in car, I believe. That is not the way I did it. So just letting you know, there are other options potentially for doing this job. So next, I'm just going to remove this brake dust shield here and get it out of the way so we have more visibility. And now we're going to remove that outer tie rod end. And apparently I didn't film that part here, but of course you're going to want to loosen up that nut that holds the outer tie rod on to that spindle. And then it can be a bit tricky to get this outer tie rod end out, but what I found that actually works is taking a decent sized hammer and just hitting on the side where I'm going to hit here to kind of knock that lower control arm loose. And you can see it fall down there, and then we can just loosen up that nut and it falls out of place. And as I mentioned, I will be removing the lower control arm. So hopefully that'll be helpful for my viewers as well if you're doing any other job where you needed to remove your lower control arms. So right now we're on the passenger side and we're just removing the two main bolts that hold that lower control arm in place. And just a forewarning here on this passenger side lower control arm, with that front bolt, I was able to get it out with the oil filter on. But when I tried to get this lower control arm back in, I could not get that bolt in place. So you will probably want to plan on doing an oil change the same time you are removing this lower control arm. So once that front bolt is out, we're going to remove that rear bolt. And again, these are very tight. I would recommend spraying them with some penetrating oil to try and let them sit for a little bit. You certainly don't want these bolts to break or strip. That could cause a lot of other issues. And here we're just removing that lower control arm on the passenger side. Next, we're jumping over to the driver's side. And again, I have a lot of stuff removed here because I was chopping my transmission. So you won't need to remove your entire spindle. You won't need to do a lot of the stuff that I did here. But it should make it easier for viewing. So a lot like the passenger side, we're just going to break these bolts free and remove this lower control arm. And the order doesn't always matter too much, as you can see, as far as removing like that sway bar link. I'm finally removing that here, and it's the last piece holding that lower control arm in on the driver's side. Next, I'm going to show you how to actually remove these outer tie rod ends. And of course, we are installing the Whiteline roll center kit outer tie rod ends. So these, you could be putting factory ones in yours and it should work very similar as far as swapping them out. But just letting you know, we're putting in the Whiteline roll center adjustment tie rod ends and ball joints. So what I found works best here is to have the two wrenches you need. I can't tell you for sure what size they are, but two larger wrenches. And then what you kind of want to do is make a V where you're pulling it the right direction, where that back nut, would be going basically counterclockwise. And then you would squeeze your hands together, you'd squeeze the wrenches together, and then that kind of allows you to break them free. And that is what worked well for me. It's kind of a matter of getting leverage. So hopefully you understand what I mean by kind of making a V with those two wrenches and then pulling them together so it loosens up that bolt. Next, you can see I put a wrench on the inner tie rod end just because I wanted to keep that inner tie rod end from spinning. and then I broke free that outer tie rod. And what I tried to do to at least get this close, as far as alignment purposes, is I went and I counted the number of turns that I took off. So if it was like 9 3/4, then I tried to do the same thing, the same number of turns with this new outer tie rod end I put in. We try to do that so our alignment is relatively close, but either way, doing this job, you should definitely plan on taking your car in somewhere to get a front end alignment. So once I turned that outer tie rod end the same number of turns as the old one I took off, I of course just wanted to tighten up the nut that holds it in place. And a lot like when you took it off, you should be able to try to kind of do that V formation again with your hands, except this time you're going to use it in a different direction, so you're tightening versus loosening. So call me lazy if you want, but in an effort to save time, and since I've already done a different video about actually removing the ball joints and installing them with the control arms out of the car, I'm going to cut to that voiceover audio now, so my voice is probably going to change. Here we go. So once you have the lower control arm out of the car, you can start working on removing that ball joint. So the first thing we're going to do is take off the boot that kind of covers this lower ball joint. And once we remove that boot, you're going to see that there is a C-clip in place that's going to have to get removed as well. So I will advise using or buying a snap ring plier kit for this job. It will make things go a lot easier. So you're going to want to use a snap ring pliers to kind of help remove that C-clip that comes with these OEM ball joints. And when we install our Whiteline ball joints later on, we're going to use the snap ring pliers there as well. So removing the snap ring can be a bit tricky, but as you can see here, we used the pliers to spread the snap ring a bit and then got a screwdriver underneath it to work it around to get it free. So these ball joints will need to be pressed out, and then you'll have to press the new ones back in. So you have a couple options here. You can find a shop that has a press. If you have your own press, obviously you could use that. Otherwise, you can rent a tool from your local auto parts store, and that ball joint install remover tool could be used as well. As you can see here, we had a press available to use. So basically the goal here is to find something big enough underneath to put through that will still hold that lower control arm in place and also allow that ball joint to be pushed through. And then you'll need something to push it through from the top that's small enough to fit through the hole, obviously, that you're pushing through, but yet big enough, to push evenly onto that ball joint. Next, I'm just showing how these Whiteline ball joints look when they came to me. And basically to press them in, we're going to want to remove that protective boot cover, basically, that holds the grease in. We're going to get that out of the way so we don't damage that at all when we press this new ball joint in place. So now it's a very similar procedure to press this in, but basically what we ended up doing here is putting the ball joint down on a flat piece of metal and then kind of pressing the lower control arm onto the ball joint itself. This isn't the only way to do this, but this is just the way we managed to press in this ball joint. And you're going to want to make sure you press that ball joint in all the way. Otherwise, you're going to have a very hard time getting that new snap ring in place if that ball joint's not pressed through as far as it should be. This is something that you should kind of be able to feel out. You should be able to feel when that kind of bottoms out a little bit when you're pressing it down with the press. Otherwise, if you're just taking this to a shop somewhere that has a press and having them do it for you, hopefully that person operating that press has plenty of experience doing such a thing and would be able to just do this for you. So now you can see that we have the two lower ball joints pressed into our lower control arms. And what we're going to do here is use the snap ring pliers again to spread those snap rings and then push them into place. These snap rings, and it might depend on the quality of the snap ring pliers you have, but I noticed when you kind of spread them apart, they would try to twist a bit, so they definitely won't really stay flat. So that's just something I ran into, and basically to help solve that, what I ended up doing was using a screwdriver to kind of hold down one end and pry down one end of the snap ring while I kind of spread it apart and then just worked my way around to get that snap ring down and in place. So this did take a couple attempts to get these snap rings in place. I did end up finding out that the snap ring pliers that are kind of bent at a 90-degree angle worked a little easier for me to end up getting these snap rings on and in place. Once those snap rings are in place, you should be able to put your protective boot cover back on basically. And then once you kind of push that down and around and in place, you'll want to use a screwdriver and or a little pliers, and you should be able to put that kind of retainer metal clip back in place. And as you'll see here, I kind of started with one end of this and worked my way around to kind of bring it down back into place where it should be. So just take your time again and be sure not to damage that boot. You don't want to puncture it or put a hole in it or anything, so the grease would be able to come out. You want that grease obviously to stay in your ball joint area there where it should be. And welcome back. You probably noticed the audio change again, and there are a couple things I want to point out since I made that last video. One thing, you notice the notch that's in that outer tie rod end. So basically when I pressed those lower ball joints in, I was kind of thinking backwards for whatever reason, and I didn't have that notch facing the right way. I had it facing towards the outer part of the control arm, and it should actually be facing towards the inside part of the control arm. So what I ended up actually doing is taking these protective covers back off, and then I put a vice grip on, and then kind of spun the lower ball joints around so that notch was at least, close to where I needed it to be for reinstall. These ball joints are really not that easy to move. It's going to take some pressure to move them. So just a forewarning, you won't be able to just grab this by your hand and spin it. This is an area where I definitely open it up to other viewers, other people that have done this job before. Please leave a comment about maybe an easier way, if there's a different way that you've done this to spin this around to get these in place. When you mount these lower ball joints up, let me know. So next we're going to cut back to some night when I made it outside and we put the outer tie rod end back in place. Of course, you'll notice that I did some more work since our last video too by reinstalling that spindle and putting our coilovers back in place. So now with these lower control arms and the front part, the front bushings, there are these flat rubber pieces that go in on both sides. Don't forget to put those back on the control arm when you put them in. You could have put an aftermarket bushing in there as well. They make different options for that. I just left my stock ones in. So I did put my CV shaft in place. Again, something you shouldn't have to remove, but something I did. I also put a little bit of anti-seize on the bolts just because they probably won't be removed again for a long time, and I'd prefer them not to break off in the future. So I will admit that putting this lower control arm in place was a bit trickier than I show here. I did have to bend out where the rear part of that lower control arm goes into the chassis. I had to bend that down a little bit to kind of push it in place. So obviously we're going to put those bolts in place and tighten them up. And now I actually did make an attempt to try to get this lower ball joint in place, and I could see it wasn't lined up quite right. So I had to use my vice grip again to turn and spin this lower ball joint a little bit to try and make sure that notch was lined up right with the mount where it goes in. I also wasn't afraid to use a rubber hammer to try and move it around and get it in place to get it to line up. And here's a close-up photo just kind of showing that notch in that lower ball joint. So you're going to want to pay attention to that notch. If that notch is not in the right spot, that bolt will not push in place. You want that bolt to be able to just slide right in. If you have to take a hammer to that bolt, you probably have something wrong, and you will probably mess up the threads on the bolt that holds your lower ball joint in. So make sure you have this notch lined up right with where that bolt's going to go through. So again, this may take a couple of attempts to get this in place, and this is also an area where hopefully if someone else has done this job, they could give me some tips on doing this, but this really does not just slide right in, or at least it didn't for me. So I had to kind of wiggle it around. I wasn't too afraid to hit it with a rubber hammer or a rubber mallet to kind of try to get it in place, and basically that's what I ended up doing, is just kind of driving it in with that rubber hammer, and that worked well for me. So of course you're going to want to take a peek and look at where that notch is out of that ball joint and try to get it to line up so your bolt will slide right in. And once your bolt slides in, you'll put the nut on and tighten it up. And the rest is pretty much just the reassembly. So of course you're going to want to put that sway bar link back in place. You're going to want to put that brake dust shield back in place if you took it out. Anything that you removed, you're going to want to reinstall. And of course we're going to tighten up that outer tie rod end. And we're going to put our brake rotors back on and then put our brake calipers back in place as well. And again, I know I'm being repetitive here, but I didn't actually film installing the lower control arm on the passenger side. But please keep in mind that in order to get that bolt back in, holding that lower control arm in place, you will need to remove your oil filter. And if I'm wrong on that and you figured out how to get that bolt in without removing your oil filter or smashing it, again, please let me know, comment and let me know some tips if you've done this job as well. This is also something you probably shouldn't have to do, but just a tip if you're by yourself and need to tighten up the big nut that holds your CV shafts in place. So if you want to torque that to, I believe, like 100 foot-pounds and you're by yourself, you can put a pry bar basically in place to keep your wheel from spinning, and then you should be able to tighten it up. It's a lot easier if you have a friend. If you have one other person there with you, just have them hold the brake pedal and you should be able to torque it that way. But if you're by yourself, you can try to use a pry bar like I just showed. And of course, we put our cotter pin back in place as well to make sure that nut doesn't spin out. And then we'll bolt our wheel back on and torque it to spec, and then we should be set to get a front end alignment. Again, if you're going to change your outer tie rod ends, you're going to need to get that checked. There are tools out there if you want to try and do it yourself in your own garage. I know Quick Trick makes some alignment sticks where a lot of people can do quite a bit from their own garage. So that's it. As always, hopefully you find this video helpful or maybe mildly entertaining. But again, this is just how I did it. If you want to research other places and how other people have done this job, I encourage you to do so. I certainly don't believe that there's only one way to do this, but I just like documenting things as I go and hoping that they will help out my viewers so they can see what they're getting into before they try to tackle a job themselves. So as always, this is Paul from Boosted Films saying thanks for watching.